Good morning. And today we do have Pinky, who is now in the UK. It is early time for her, and we are now in evening in Vietnam. And we have Pinky, the founder and chairperson of the prestigious award that I had a chance to be in the short listed. And I also in love with the UK and India, the countries that Pinky have some relationship with. So, Pinky, come on in and share with us so we can start a conversation today surround the topic empowered voices.
Thank you so much, and I'm so honored and privileged to be here today because I think it's so important for us to have different audiences and to inspire women and inspire all kinds of people so that they are more successful and they can change the world and themselves.
Yeah. It's beautiful when you said it changing the world. It's like every little kid, when they are young, they have that kind of dreams. And the more we grow up, the more we know it starts from changing ourselves and changing a little bit like around us. So I have seen you have changed and empowered a lot of women from different countries, and not only women, as you said, but any human being. So, when did you start that journey of empowerment? How did you wake up one day or maybe one week and say, like, let's do this?
Well, it began many, many years ago. I'm much older than all of you, and I wasn't working when I had my children. I wasn't working. I had no aspirations of working, but I did a lot of work in philanthropy. And
Mm,
through that, I was meeting people, and suddenly I realized I really began with focusing on Asian women because I'm from India.
mm,
So I thought in the UK, we should see how we can recognize Asian women because everyone thought Asian women just stay at home and cook food for their husband and they don't do any work. And they would always ask you, what does your husband do? They'd never ask you what you did. So I set up the first awards 25 years ago. And I had to get people who we could recognize. And everybody told me, you must invite the prime minister's wife. And at that time, Tony Blair was our prime minister.
mm,
So I rang up number 10 Downing Street and invited his wife to come to our awards dinner.
mm,
And she actually came and has
mm,
become a great patron. And we recognize amazing women. But again, what's really important for me is not just women in one sector. We
mm.
look across sectors, so from art and entrepreneurship to media to social services to business. We recognize all kinds of women. That's
Oh.
the start of our journey.
So at that time, you already established yourself in a way where you saw that a lot of women could actually tap into their potential even more. You were still in the journey of discovering yourself and setting up something for your life.
Yes, absolutely. I was on the journey, and I think you need to be on that journey forever. I'm still on the journey.
Yeah, I
So
love
even
that.
now,
Yeah. What is that like finish? We just
no,
talk
it's
about it
no when
today,
you're
like with our team. Yeah, we never
no,
actually finish it. We finish it in that period of time, but we reinvent another stage. Yeah.
absolutely. And I think it's important to be curious, to be courageous, and not be afraid of failure, and to actually find your voice. Women must believe in themselves. Your own confidence is so important because if you don't believe in yourself, how can other people believe in you? So find out what your passion is about, have purpose, have integrity, and be kind. I think kindness is the most important thing in any world, men, women, business. If you're kind, you will always succeed.
Yeah. I love all the words that you have mentioned because actually for us, if we are now younger than you, we know that, we hear that, and I think we only can actually feel the essence and the very depth of that when we experience life even more. So it's like you conceptualize it in the way where it looks simple, but it really takes the kind of practice and the work to feel the word like simple, word like kindness. So I think like that is very nice for us to reinforce on all the words that you mentioned. And how did you actually identify these are the important things in life?
For me, values are very important.
Okay.
And everyone, if they have the right values, when I meet people, I look and see, have they got humility? Have they got kindness?
Mm,
Have they got integrity? Are they clever? Are they passionate? Are they humanistic? Do they believe in the world? If somebody is only interested in promoting themselves and saying how good they are, I don't think that works. And I think
mm,
for me also is we need to build a community around us that supports us, because all of us fail. Everyone fails at times. We all go up, we all go down. That is life. And so we need people around us who believe in us, who will
mm.
help us and open a door. We all should open doors all the time. I do a lot of good work because so many people have helped me on the journey. So it's very important to have a good community around you.
Yeah. So we're gonna go back a little bit to when you were young and you talk about values. How did
Yes.
you identify these are would be my core values, and these could be the values that I will not negotiate, but I would make it as part of the way I live? Because I think not everyone actually right away can identify their values to then empower themselves on that journey of exercise it or nurture it.
You know, I think you have to people must know what you stand for, because it's our USP, our unique selling proposition.
Mm,
People will remember what you stand for. And they
mm,
may for a while forget it, but they will always come back. So somebody who's been kind, and you know, to be kind is very easy. You don't need money, you don't need education. You just need to be nice. So every time you meet someone, you say something nice to them. Think of something, give them something, because that will
mm.
help them on the journey. So people ask me what I give. I carry chocolate every day in my handbag.
Wow, I
And
love this.
I give them one little chocolate to a little child on the road, or I have a pound coin and I give that. And the person will never see me again, so they don't have to repay me.
Yeah,
And so all of us can be kind. You don't need anything special. When you're kind, it actually is your unique selling proposition. Also, don't be afraid of failure. I mean, so many people are always afraid, I don't
yeah,
want to do it because I may fail. I've failed so many times. And I think you pick yourself up, and then you find people who believe in you, and that helps us in journey. Also, do what you're really passionate about. If you told me to do financial sheets, finance
mm,
sheets, I'm hopeless at finance. I wouldn't be able to do it. And it's all right to say I can't do it, but there's something that I can do well, and that's what you concentrate on. That's important.
yeah. I think when you talk about that habit, it reminds me about also a dear friend. He also brings that kind of little candy on the way because of one experience that he could not have a little girl when he was young. So any one of us can be kind in one or another way as one of the values. And you said that we should know what we stand for. So if we look back a bit like longer time, at that time, what was that journey for you to identify this is what I stand for and affirm that and then live up with that? And does that change over time? Yeah.
It doesn't change over time, but perhaps the focus changes. So I'm not going to say to be mean is all right. I hate people who are arrogant, who are full of their own sense of self. So those things don't change, but the way you actually give. So one thing is nice for people to know your values and to hear you speak, but everybody can't speak in public. I obviously was very lucky that I learned how to speak, and I speak everywhere. I've spoken 100 companies. I've spoken at the Bank of England. I've spoken in Oxford, at Cambridge, at London Business School. And I think that's important, but I didn't start by being good at it. You learn on the way. Sometimes you realize, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. I should do it differently. but don't be afraid of that. So take risks. I tell people to do something you're not used to and try it out and see how you can succeed. Sometimes you have to keep going back to do it right, but don't give up. I think that is absolutely vital. And always take an interest in people, by finding out how they are, or being really interested, not just to hear, not just people who you think are important. So for me, I treat everyone equally. If somebody is prime minister or somebody is just starting, I will treat them with the same respect.
Wow, lovely. I think that takes the journey of really knowing and appreciating where we are and where we can go and where we came from, to have that empathy for people that started and the people who have been in the position or the longer journey. So I really want to kind of conceptualize that journey of you. If you look back Binky in the past, how many stages that she has experienced until now, and how does she actually evolve and empower herself?
Well, it's a very interesting journey because at every stage of our life we have different things that make
Mm.
us work. And one of the things that for me was when my younger son said he wanted to do an MBA, the Master of Business Administration, he said he wanted to go to Oxford. And I said, lovely, Oxford is such a good brand, I'll come with you. So he went, and I went inside the office at Oxford and said, what do you people do for women? So they looked at me, I'm a middle aged Indian woman, and they said, what do you do? So I told them what I did. And he got into Oxford, so I was very happy. And I got a phone call from them to saying, would I be the keynote speaker on the first day of term? And I was so excited, but I told him, if you tell the women in your class, then if I am not good, nobody will go out with you. But he actually married an amazing Chinese American girl who was in his class. So my
Wow.
two little granddaughters are half Chinese, half Indian, and they speak Mandarin. And I'm very proud of that. Their culture is different, but the values are the same. They respect their elders, they listen, they love us, and that's important.
Wow. So you actually experience that diversity and the appreciation of the differences between people, but some shared values in human as it is. So what changed you the most during your journey that you think that you want to tell to your younger self, or to the people like us who have less years of experiences in life, who actually get the opportunities to be in the network with your award?
Yeah, what changed my journey was I was coming across so many stories. People come and tell me their stories, and I realized we have a range in our network. We have some people who've had success and don't know about many difficulties, others who've had difficulties and yet have carried on their journey. I want to be there forever to connect because I know people for so many years. And I don't think you should just stop them after a year or 5 years. I'm still in touch the people who we nominated 25 years ago. And they've all been on the journey. And so for us, it's important for me to keep in touch, to keep the community going, to be there whenever someone needs you. If
Mm,
anybody writes to me and says, I will always reply. And I
mm,
think that is a philosophy of life, to let people know that you're there to help them in the journey, because then we all need help on our journey. About 20 years ago, they realized I couldn't hear. So
mm.
I am profoundly deaf. So I wear hearing aids. And if I take them off, I can't hear anyone. But I tell
Yeah.
people this. So we all have challenges.
Oh, wow. So it just really reminded me of the story in a book where actually the passion and desire and the ask for other somehow also supported us to overcome any kind of challenges. And you mentioned on the people who attended the awards many years ago, and you still keep in touch with them and you work with them on a journey. So can you share one story from the people who are in the award that you remember, and that story probably going to inspire somebody who listening to us today?
Yes, one of the first stories was an amazing woman who actually was in the field of medicine, which is such an important. She actually wrote what was considered a Bible for the medical students. They all were reading her. It was a medical diary of whatever. And even though soon after she was shortlisted and she won, very soon afterwards her husband passed away. And yet she continued the journey. And every time somebody had some medical problems or wanted some advice, I would go to her. And I think just to connect them, I knew she was always there. Tried not to do it often, but she was a great source of wisdom. And so when you need help from others, you never know when it's going to be of value. There was another girl who was amazing from India who does a lot of things like detoxification in the water. And I connected her to the CEO of a big water company, and they're working together. And she said, I would never have met somebody so senior if you hadn't connected me, but that helped her to really progress. So we've got so many stories from film stars to burlesque artists to all kinds of people. I want to take them. One thing we do in England is often we take women who are recognized to Downing Street or to Buckingham Palace. Just going in there for them gives them confidence. You know, confidence is so important for us to succeed. So always believe in yourself.
You repeated a lot on the belief in ourselves. Did you never ever like lose the belief in yourself? And how did you actually believe again?
I don't think I lost the belief in myself. You know, when my hearing went and when I had another illness, I didn't lose my belief in myself because I had amazing people around me who made me believe in myself. That's why I spoke about a community. We need people in our life. Sometimes when we have an issue, it's talking to someone that can change your life. And that's why I always say that our network is very important. The people who you have access to, and now with technology and communication, you just get on a WhatsApp and you can talk to anybody anytime. And so we should access that. We should never forget that that may be the turning point for us, you know. So I think it's making people build that community and stay in touch and knowing what everyone's values are. Because, you know, if you go to someone who's just going to use you, it may disillusion you because she's just using you because you're important. And when you're not important, she drops you. I think it's to be there for people all the time.
Wow. The community. What about if people don't have community yet? They should create one, or maybe they join one, right? I remember that some people say to me like, yeah, don't have community. I said like, create one. I remember that. Yeah.
Create one or join one, you know, because there's so many things. People go to yoga classes, meditation, and they go to samba dancing, they go to all kinds of things. Join a class of people, get to know them. Because you never know where some people you think, oh, will have the same values, they're different. But it's just join different communities. Their book clubs, start a book club. Tell everybody, let's get together every 6 weeks and discuss a book. Have a coffee morning, call people over for dinner.
Yeah. I just feel like the reason I really appreciate the community, as you have mentioned in my personal story, because any changes in my life actually happens with the community around it. So during the COVID time, I appreciated that I had a chance to actually be in touch with the community from your award. So what would be the ways for people to maximize their empowerment when they join the community with the award, the future for women? Yeah.
I would say that the main thing is that obviously if you're shortlisted, we have an award ceremony now in Singapore, so everybody comes. We have other programs going on to get in touch, nominate people. I'm hoping that inshallah we will open a global network of women, so people in Cambodia or Vietnam or Thailand can meet people in California or Brazil. Otherwise, that's difficult. So there was a girl in Thailand who won our award, and she asked me to be her referee for her university, and she got into Stanford in California. So I connected one of the girls who I knew in California who was at Google with her and said, if you ever need help, just talk to her. So I think we need to build those communities to be part of our program. You can be online. If you send us any questions, we always try to reply to them. We're doing things now in Asia Pacific. So to be part of that, and I hope we build a global community. So if anybody's from Vietnam, they can always come to Singapore for our awards dinner and meet other people.
Yes, and I think you can plan to do a summit in Vietnam too, because I think this is a great destination for also like taking around with the cultural exposure and some activities that are happening in Vietnam, a developing country. I think
Amazing.
as we have more people from Vietnam or some other countries around, we can see more activities that we can integrate. And I just feel like if a person who wants to empower their voice as a topic today, you mentioned that knowing what you stand for and your values, and then continue that journey, and especially will be surrounded by a community, would be that a great thing. What is another element for a person who really empower their voice like as a journey and even support other people as you have been doing with the network?
I think it's also develop new interests. It's always nice to find things you're not good at and see how you can develop that interest. So somebody
Okay.
who's not used to speaking, how can you speak? Because they're TED Talks. How can you actually always be learning? I've devised something called the 7 Qs of success. So that's your IQ, your
Okay.
EQ is your emotional quotient, your MQ, the meaning quotient in what you do. The CQ is courage and curiosity. The AQ is the attitude quotient. And the KQ is the kindness quotient. So if people should look at that and see, how can I develop this? How can I learn something new? Don't just be happy if you know a lot. If you've done your PhD, doesn't mean you shouldn't learn. To always try something different, always try to do things for yourself and for others. And we all have people in our lives who need help at any stage.
I just love that you can actually conceptualize and make it as a frame for us to practice. And I think it comes from the journey of practicing and living and looking at back and then really identify what matters. So what next for the network and what next for you with that curiosity and that courage of always taking risks and learn new things?
I would, as I said, I want to do things globally because I think somebody in India would never be able to meet somebody in Brazil, and somebody in Brazil would not be able to meet somebody in Vietnam unless they're a big company. I want to set up a global network for all of you so that you all can connect online with others. So if you're looking to do something in Argentina, you can go onto our website and say, is there anybody who can help me in Argentina? I think
Mhm.
what's helped me most on the journey is other people. When I don't know the answers, somebody else may know the answers. And you
Yes.
can tell it. You're very good. You're all very tech savvy. I'm not that tech savvy. So the way I do things is much more, the memojis and all that is hard work. But for y'all, it's like second nature. But I've got certain skills which I can share with y'all. And as you get older, everyone loses some of their skills, they develop new ones. So nobody carries on being the same all the time. That is humanity for you, really.
So what is support of the alumni can do for making it globally?
Well, I'd love you all to write to me and say what you're looking for. Why would you want us to be global? If you tell me, I can incorporate those into our mission. So if you write and tell me I'd like it to be global because this, we'll see how we can incorporate that. Will we have, you've heard of Remo? You have Remo meetings where you actually can have 30 people there so you can talk to each other. And
Mm.
if somebody, and I love it when people say, I can't help you, but I know somebody else who can, and connects me to that person. And that's something that we should all make part of our lives, you know.
Yeah, I think
so I would love you to tell me what you would like.
I think the global community is something that people look for globally, not only in one continent, but then like with other continents. So I think having a physical event like in Singapore you have been doing for us here in Asia is great, and globally we can also like do that summit, and we also can incorporate the online event like you said. And I love to also maybe see that you will have podcasts where we can podcast our stories. So like today I try to bring you in to spread the story of the network, and I think the importance of the community and the dedication that the founder has, that is something that like the spirit that we all can learn. And the topic today is the empowerment, and especially on the voices, I think it's just a touch people, because maybe people have something to say and they may not say, or maybe if they say, they don't say in the way that they truly believe, because they are fearful of judgment or fearful of being hurt. So I think the community, as you said, is to say something to help people to be able to live with their true self, and they can still do it even they are not in the community, but they work in their life. So the what next for the community is the global. And do you think if you have a book writing about your whole life of doing this as recent years, what would be the name of that book?
I've just my whole life book has come out 2 months ago, and it's called Some Kind of Wonderful: The Magic Life Has Taught
Oh,
Me.
I didn't
So
do that research. Wow,
so
congratulations.
it's my story from the time I was born to now, with some pictures and also the challenges. So everybody realizes that even if you do well, you've had several challenges on the way.
Wow.
So it's about
And
the magic of my life.
yeah, how was that journey of writing the book? What did you learn about yourself after writing it?
I didn't write the book, actually. I've written 3 books before. They're cookery books. This book, because I was so busy, I had a very good author research it and interview me and write the story. So she spoke to many people who worked with me so that she could write my story. And I had to tell her the story too, but she was the writer, so it made it easy. Otherwise, she took 9 months to write it, and she was working full time on it. And we were very lucky. Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Edinburgh, who is the King's sister-in-law, she has written the foreword of the book.
Wow, congratulations. How did you feel? Like, what did you realize about yourself when you read the book that written by somebody based on your stories and other people's perspectives about you?
I read it only a little bit, but I was getting the feedback from everybody else who was reading and saying, oh, I really enjoyed this, or I did enjoy this, and I didn't want to read too much. I said, this is boring, this is just my story. But other people were coming back and saying, and we're selling the book in everywhere in the world. So I went to America to give a book talk, and I've given book talks here, and I will be traveling around the world trying to share the story.
Congratulations. Actually, we can publish book now for authors, so I will look on that book. And in any cases, if we have a chance to do in Vietnamese, we are here for you. We have a friend, a dear friend, for she also published her book in Vietnamese as very our first foreign author. So congratulations for the book. And what is the next one if you have?
Oh, no, nothing just now. This has just come out. So I think this is, I have no other plans just now. This is 2 months old, and I'm very happy with it. And I have to carry on marketing that. So maybe in a little while something else will come up.
I love that, because actually more people need to know that, right? And they get inspired and empowered by that.
Well, I've written it for my grandchildren, who are only 8 and 5, for them to learn something, because, you know, otherwise they won't know my story, because if something happens to me tomorrow, they're not going to, but all the stories are in there. So I hope that they will, and they're gorgeous grandchildren, and they're really, really, that they're the joy of my life.
Yeah, if you need to summarize that whole book to talk to these grandchildren, I think it's also relate to a lot of people who are here today, who are younger and may be able to now working on the journey to empower themselves. What would be that one key message? I think you have mentioned a lot of key messages, but you just mentioned that you wanted to give it to your grandchildren. So if you need to choose a very key one, what is that key message?
The key message for me is always be kind. So my mantra is you have not lived a perfect day unless you've done something for someone who can never repay you. So kindness brings you back so much. As you plant the seeds, that's how it grows. And so for me, the one piece of advice I'd give all of you is never be afraid of failure, never give up, and never, never give up belief in yourself and changing the world. We're all world changers. You know, we can make our little journey. Find your voice and make it be heard.
Can you share a kindness story that changed your life? Because I think it is a great time to end today's conversation today here with the kindness, because I also always believe in kindness where I my life was saved because of a kind action from someone, and that trigger and awaken the gratitude towards life. So I just always thankful for the man, the stranger that actually saved my mental life. And
Wow.
today you have, I was engineer and gave up my engineer life second time, and I didn't plan well for the finance, but it's more about I was broken mentally. I didn't really believe in what I do from my heart, especially when I heard the voices from the loved ones about my new choice in my career. And I remember that 3 weeks of depression, I went to that coffee shop, and I was really like in the stage where I didn't feel like living. I just feel like it's nothing left. It was very a depression time, right? And I went to the coffee shop, and the seat I was normally sat, there was one man, a stranger, sat there, and I was thinking like even the seat was not for me. When it was very like negative, you saw everything in that way, and at that moment for me it was like that, and I felt like the very last light in the funnel gone. And I remember suddenly the stranger stood up and came and told me that he saw me often rode in that place. That's the particular seat, and he thought that I could do it better if I would sit there. And he thought that I could do whatever I was doing well because I was there consistently. And he's left, and I was still like thinking, and I didn't know who was that man and where he came from. I never saw him before, but I that moment it was like a turning around. Right? It was like nobody cared. I had nothing, became like a stranger care. And that moment like shifted me back to the gratitude for my life. And I figured everything out with that grateful state of mind. So thanks to the kindness of the man. And I think that moment repeated reminded me about the kindness that I was taught by my parents and my siblings. So this is my little kindness story that have been my very life appreciation. Yeah.
That's an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing that. Your own warmth and energy is so inspiring. And,
Yeah.
you know, if you want me to end with one story you said on kindness, it goes back many, many years ago during the World War II. People were escaping from, my grandfather lived
Mm.
in Calcutta, and about 15 years ago, I took one of my clients to have food at a Burmese restaurant, a Myanmar restaurant. And the man came around and he said, "Oh, where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from Calcutta." He said, "I'm alive today because of a man in Calcutta who saved my life when I escaped during the Second World War in 1941. And I was going to be killed. And this man saved my life. He was quite an important man." And I said, "Oh," he said he was a man who belonged to the Ismaili community. So I said, "I'm an Ismaili. Maybe, I may know who he is." And he said his name was Khan Bahadur Dasani. I said, "That's my grandfather."
Wow.
And my grandfather has saved his life and his entire family's life in 1942. And in 1990, that was the one story he remembers. So kindness is never forgotten.
Yeah.
And people should
And
always
it's a ripple effect. Yeah.
It's left for life. So any good deed you do in kindness can be with you till the end of your days.
Yeah, thank you, because you brought the kindness to us today. I could feel it, and I just think like kindness makes us young and energetic and passionate as you are doing. So I think this is a great demonstration that it brings a really great energy and ignite from inside. So thank you for being kind to join us today. And I think we know about the community and the network, the award that you have built for us, and you are looking forward to make it globally. But I see like it has been global in the way it is, and it will be continue expanded. We love to see Vietnamese and more friends who are listening to it, who are entrepreneurs and leaders, to be a part of the community and to be a practitioner of being kind. I think that is a key message. And if we do that a lot, I think we will one day maybe meet Pinky in one or another way. And I also know that you have book. Now we can actually know you more through the book. So thank you so much for today. And I love you to give us the very final thought uh, to open up the new journey. I think we are going to end this year. So I don't think like, okay, this is just end this year and continue the next year. So can you share the final thought? And I have our team here also will be coming to say thank you to you.
Okay. My final thought is something from Aristotle. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. So make good things your habit. Make excellence your habit. And that's what makes you what you are. That was said by Aristotle so many years ago.
Thank you. Thank you, Pinky. And
thank you so much.
I think one of the things to repeatedly do, which is kindness, as you are giving the time for us today. And our team Hoàng Hường gonna share any thought